So talking about interacting, I'm going to play you some clips from a few other places that are in the movie. We're going to start with the Decent House, and that's a boring story. So one of the big stories that we had heard about the Decent House in Ellisville, Mississippi, there was a Civil War outlaw who was actually attempting to hide from the Confederate Army because he was a deserter, and they decided to send a guy there to hunt this guy down. His name was Colonel McLemore. Well, Newt Knight, the outlaw, found out that he was coming to hunt him, so he beat him to the punch. He went into the Decent House, saw him standing in front of the fireplace, and shot him dead before he could even come after him. So a lot of people think that Colonel McLemore still haunts this house, along with several members of the Decent family, because about 5 or 6 generations of this family lived and died in this house. So even though that Major McLemore is a big part of it, a lot of the stories evolve around a little girl, because a lot of them see this little girl who was in the Decent family who died during the big yellow fever epidemic, and they would hear little girl voices and see things involving a little girl. So what you're going to actually see here, I'm trying to think what this is. Okay, this is an example of interacting. What we actually do is using a technique called table tipping. Now what we have found, does everyone know what table tipping is? Okay, it was a technique that was used by the spiritualists back in the early 1920s. And what they would do is basically a seance without a medium. So you have everyone around a table. Everyone generally puts their fingertips sort of on the table to kind of funnel your energy into one area. And then you ask questions, much like you would in an EVP session, and it allows the ghost to sort of kind of tap into this energy and hopefully make the table kind of start to tip and bounce and knock and things like that. But what we found over the years is even if that doesn't happen, that energy gets used somewhere else. Like you'll see in this video, actually, the entire time that we were doing this table tipping session, there were knocks and bangs and things coming from other rooms in the house. So, and we were really trying to provoke, trying to get something to happen. So I'm calling, Major McLemore, I guess you were a coward, and the next room you hear a boom. Once you come in here, scaredy cat, boom. We were really getting this goat, we were really getting him for a while. But this is part of the table tipping session. See if you can figure out which member of the Mississippi Paranormal Group is about to fall asleep sitting at the table. We know you're a nice spirit, and you had some fun with us while we were playing, so why don't you come over here and play with us again. You can make this table move for us. Why don't you come on over here? Are you guys doing anything? It's flat. We know you don't want to stop playing. If you want us to keep playing with you, you got to do something. If you can't make the table work, you need to say something. Let us hear you. If you're in another part of the house, you need to come in this room right now and participate with us. We're tired of you running into another room.
You keep hearing that? You keep hearing something else down there? Yeah, that's what I kept letting you know before. I kept hearing something.
Every time we do something in a room, you go into another room. And unless you're a bigger coward than we think you are, you need to come in this room right now and participate with us. Okay, so that's it. Could you hear a lot of the knocks and things that were going on sort of in the background? And the recorders that were actually in those rooms, we pulled them in. It was crazy loud. And actually one of them, and we couldn't figure out where it was coming from, it sounded like a drawer. Almost like, bam, almost like he was pulling a drawer out and then shutting it as hard as he could to do this sort of a bam, against the whatever's coming out of. But so that's sort of an example of interacting with the spirit. And there's other ways that you can do it. I know some of them are sort of. This is where you also get to the realm of controversial, because this is where you come into the Ouija board and using pendulums and other devices of that sort. And you know, everyone's going to have their own spin sort of on what they think about the Ouija board and stuff like that. But in the end, you're just basically using devices that you can use, you know, to interact, make things happen. And experience has been, you know, usually once you kind of get the interaction rolling, it starts to build. It gets bigger and bigger. It'll start with little things, and then it'll get bigger, and all of a sudden you really start hearing stuff. So, and I also I'm going to play you a few EVPs now, because that's the subject we're talking about. So I'm going to play you a couple neat EVPs from the same house, where we think that was probably Colonel Macklemore that was mad because we were calling him out. Her name was Thiessen. But all the EVPs we caught were of the girl, the little girl. And we were actually chasing her around the house with the EMF detector. What we would actually do is we started playing hide and go seek. So we would walk around, you know, we're going to get you, we're going to get you, and it would be flat. And then we would all of a sudden come to a corner, and it would just light up like Christmas. And we'd say, we found you, and you moved to grab them, and it'd just die. And she'd run somewhere else. And then we'd look around, we want to find you, and then you go to another corner, and it would start lighting up again. And it was just like playing hide and go seek. And when we got done and listened to the audio, she was literally playing along and almost cried, I think, whenever we stopped. So you're actually going to hear some EVPs of her saying things. Here, let me take your device there. All right, so this was the first one we caught, and it actually sounds like you're going to hear a female voice. What we think she's saying is, turn around. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I won't play it 3 times if you're hearing it every time. I won't waste your time. Okay, so another one that we caught there. Let me get this over here. This is when we were playing, and I was in the wrong spot, and she says, yoo-hoo, to sort of call me over to the other side of the room. So, here we go.
Yeah.
So you can actually say, we're going to find you, you know. And then this one is the best one of all, of the girl, anyway. And this is, we were finishing the entire game, and the guy actually chimes in, who he thinks is Macklemore. And what you're going to actually hear, you have to hear close for the sound. And that's how he talked. And I'll play you another one of him. This guy, every EVP we got of him was like, just like grumbling, you know. So you're going to hear like a male voice go, bleh, and then you're going to hear like a little girl go, and then she says, can we do it again? Because we're done. Okay, so here we go. The can we do it? The can we do it again is the hardest part to hear because it's sort of soft in the background. Here we go again. Could you hear it? Or do you hear it again? One more time? All right, here we go. Could you hear it? Okay. I don't know if everyone heard it or not. It's kind of soft to hear in the background, and it's really fast. So we caught several of the girl. Here's a good example of the guy. Tell me this just doesn't sound creepy, man. If I actually heard this live, I don't think we'd have been there all night. I'm a filmmaker. Just, you know, be straight. I'm a filmmaker. You know, I'm ghost hunting to shoot a movie. So if I'd have heard this live, we'd have wrapped early that night. I'll just tell you. All right, here we go. And we have tons of this.
What do you think he said then?
I have no idea. You tell me. I mean, seriously, listen to it. I mean, I can't pick words out of it. It just sounds like groaning.
It's not firmly, yeah.
Yeah, can anybody pick words out of that? I mean, it just sounds like sort of like he's just mad or something, you know? But I don't know. And that's one of the big things. You know, a lot of times you get these EVPs, and we have classes of EVPs in paranormal. Class A's typically are the ones we can actually listen to it, and for the most part, people will agree, you know, this is probably what they're saying. Class B is when you can hear it, and it doesn't necessarily clear enough that everyone agrees on it. That's a Class C. It's when you basically have blah, 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 blah. So that's not in the movie. All right, so last one I'll play for you because it's funny, is every once in a while, and we just discovered this during the movie, was you know how when you watch cartoons and you watch shows and stuff, and they show a ghost, what's the typical ghost sound that they do? Exactly. We actually catch that once in a while. So it's not a Hollywood cliche. It's not a Hollywood cliche. Here's an example of a cartoon ghost from the Decent House.
Gee, why should we try that?
Yeah, you can hear us talking about getting ready to go into some provocation. Listen, you can hear him in the background.
Gee, why should we try that?
We got that in 3 places. Out of the 6 we shot for the movie, 3 places we caught a cartoon ghost. Go figure. So I'm suddenly scared of Casper. Casper has a whole new level of meaning for me. All right, so let's talk about then part 3 of Dice, which is interacting with them. So that's part 3 is capturing. Sorry, we didn't interact. So now you're interacting with them. You got things rolling. You hopefully have audio and video going, and you're asking questions, and you're trying to prompt activity, and hopefully you're catching some of it. As you know from watching all of these shows, you don't usually figure that out until you're reviewing the stuff back at home, because EVPs most entities tend not to have enough energy to get loud enough to where we can actually hear them. On occasion we do, and I'm going to play you some of those. But most of the time, you'll just be asking questions and really not hearing a response until you go back and analyze everything.